Welcome to today's deep dive. If you've ever looked at a travel brochure, you've probably seen a very specific, ultra-shiny version of one of the most debated cities on
Oh,
Earth.
absolutely. The two-dimensional, perfect weather, luxury, everything kind of picture.
Right, exactly. But today, we're looking far past that shiny surface. We're getting into how this place actually works.
Because the reality of how it functions is, honestly, way more fascinating than the marketing.
It really is. And our roadmap for this today is a really specific piece of source material. We're looking at the second article by contributor Alina Shliakhtova for the second issue of the GCC region's MIZE Industry magazine.
Which is just a fantastic lens to look through. And just to quickly clarify, for anyone who doesn't live and breathe corporate event planning, MIC stands for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions.
Yeah, it's the massive multi-billion-dollar engine behind global corporate travel. And these planners, they do not care about catchy slogans, right?
Not at all. They care
Yeah.
about execution, moving literal armies of executives without a single dropped ball.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this core tension right out of the gate. You constantly hear critics write Dubai off, right?
Oh, all the time. If people say it's too expensive or it's completely artificial.
Yeah, like it's just this soulless sandbox of endless shopping malls.
Right. But then you look at the industry data, and year after year, it remains this absolute juggernaut for massive corporate events, huge award shows, and high-stakes incentive trips.
So there's a massive disconnect. And the author of our source, who has lived and worked in the Emirates for 15 years, she basically argues that the fierce critics and the diehard fans are experiencing two entirely different cities.
They absolutely are. And our goal today is to give you, the listener, the actual blueprint to see the real one.
Because before we can even talk about why people book massive events there, we have to understand what the city actually is structurally.
Right. We have to drop that completely meaningless marketing phrase you hear everywhere, the whole everything is here line.
Yes, everything is here is, frankly, what a suburban strip mall says. It tells you literally nothing about how the city operates.
Exactly. So the author introduces this brilliant concept of Dubai not as a traditional city, but as a transformer city.
A transformer city, like literally reconfiguring itself.
Yeah, she posits that the physical infrastructure and the service industry there genuinely reconfigure themselves around whatever specific scenario you drop into it.
Okay, wait, I need to visualize this. What does that actually look like on the ground?
Well, let's look at the extremes. Say your event needs an ultra-modern, hyper-futuristic vibe. You instantly have access to floor-to-ceiling glass conference halls, these architectural marvels.
Right, the classic sci-fi metropolis look.
Exactly. But then, say the very next day, your group needs complete grounding seclusion, the city transforms, you drive to a place like the Al Mahad Desert Resort.
And that's totally different.
Completely. The author actually notes that you can sit in absolute silence in your room and wild gazelles will just peer through your window.
Wait, wild gazelles looking through the window.
Literally. And the mind-bending part is that you are incredibly less than an hour away from that futuristic city center.
That is wild. The distances are just... It almost feels like the city didn't grow organically over centuries, like London or Rome.
No, not at all. It was built with intent.
It reminds me of a massive, hyper-advanced Hollywood backlot. Or even like a Swiss Army knife, right?
Oh, a Swiss Army knife is a perfect analogy.
Because it's like you can instantly flip from this ancient-feeling desert retreat to a glass and steel hub, depending entirely on which blade you pull out for the client.
Yeah, and that Swiss Army knife adaptability applies to the scale of the experience, too.
How so? Like the size of the hotels.
Exactly. You have the Atlantis Resort, which is this colossal, family-friendly behemoth built for thousands.
Oh, right, with the massive water parks and crowds.
Right, but if you need an intimate VIP experience, you just flip to a different blade. You look at properties like the one and only on the Palm.
And that's completely secluded.
Entirely.
Yeah.
It's scaled down to just 109 keys, absolutely no crowds, and they have a meeting room perfectly designed for exactly 30 people.
And again, the travel time between these massive extremes is basically nothing, right?
Yeah. The author describes the distances as laughably small if you're comparing them to European standards.
Okay, so knowing the city has all these different modes is one thing. But I want to know how this holds up under pressure.
The logistics of actually pulling it off?
Exactly, because any planner will tell you moving 1,000 people from 15 different countries on a tight deadline, that's a nightmare. A beautiful Hollywood backlot doesn't matter if the crew can't build the set in time.
And that's where the specific operating logic of the city comes in. The source makes a really key point here. Dubai handles those massive crowds systematically, not heroically.
Systematically, not heroically. Let's hover on that for a second. Because in our world, heroism usually means someone screwed up.
Right. If you need a hero, it means your plan failed, and someone had to pull an all-nighter on sheer caffeine and panic to save the day.
Exactly. So Dubai is built to just bypass the panic entirely.
Yeah, the market is built for sheer speed. The author notes that "that's not how we do things" is an answer you will almost never hear from local suppliers.
Wow. They just default to yes.
Basically, yes. And to highlight this, the author draws a really interesting contrast with Singapore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because Singapore is usually the gold standard for city planning. It's stunning.
It is stunning, but the author talks about scouting a premium location in Singapore and finding essentially 1.5 restaurants capable of hosting her group.
Just 1.5.
Yeah, because it's a very curated, zoned kind of density. But in Dubai, a similar premium location would have a restaurant under every single bush.
Just stacked on top of each other.
Exactly. You'd have world-class Italian, Asian fusion, and Peruvian cuisine all existing within 3 square meters.
Which brings me to this insane story from the source. The restaurant swap. This is the ultimate proof of that service culture.
Oh, this story is incredible. Lay it out for them.
Okay, so a client has this highly specific demand for a farewell dinner. They want an authentic Arabic menu, alcohol has to be served, and they insist on a direct view of the Burj Khalifa.
A very tight combination of requirements in that market.
Super tight. And the only Arabic venue that actually met all those requirements was completely booked.
Which is where you'd normally just tell the client no.
Right. In any other city, you apologize and make them compromise.
Mm.
But in Dubai, they found an Italian restaurant that had the right view.
And what did they do?
They literally rebuilt it overnight. They took chefs, full Arabic menus, all the proper crockery and thematic decor from a different Arabic restaurant on the Palm, and they moved it into the Italian place.
For exactly 1 day.
Yes, for exactly 1 day. As the author put it, genies build palaces overnight.
What's fascinating here is that this level of VIP service isn't a happy accident. It's not just a clever marketing stunt.
It's systemic.
Exactly. It is a fundamental structural part of the Dubai product. The corporate synergy there allows for those massive overnight pivots.
Okay, but this leads me to a really big question. If the city is this flexible, if it's literally physically transforming to cater to you, why do some people leave completely frustrated?
The blind spots. Yeah, it's a huge issue.
Where does that friction come from?
The author explains that failure happens entirely when clients arrive with a rigid template from their home country.
What do you mean by a rigid template? Like expecting things to run just like they do back in London or New York?
Yes, they try to just plug in their home country expectations, especially with budgets.
Budgets, the classic deal breaker.
Right. If you try to build a budget in Dubai using European line item ratios, it fails completely.
So it is just too expensive.
No, and that's the trap. The author actually proves that small budgets can totally work. She gives an example of doing a 4-day trip for 20 to 25 people for about $30,000 across Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Wait, 30 grand for 25 people over 4 days?
Yeah.
That's really reasonable for corporate travel.
It is. But it only worked because the planner understood the local economic logic. For example, in Dubai, a dinner at a nice restaurant might cost as much as the hotel room itself.
Oh, wow. So you have to reallocate your funds completely differently than you would in Europe.
Exactly. If you fight the reality of the market, you'll blow your budget and leave angry.
And I imagine this rigid template problem isn't just about spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
It probably bleeds into the whole debate about authenticity.
It absolutely does. Clients show up looking for classical ruins. They want ancient cobblestone streets.
And when they don't find a Roman Colosseum, they declare the city has no soul.
Right. They completely miss the point. The real authenticity of Dubai, according to the author, is witnessing this insane 50-year phenomenon.
The leap from the desert.
Exactly. Standing in a global hub that half a century ago was just a desert filled with camels. That rapid evolution is deeply, authentically local.
Okay, but I want to push back slightly here.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of an irony, isn't there?
How so?
Well, we just called it a transformer city, right? But the author explicitly says that trying to perfectly recreate a European format, like a Berlin-style corporate event, will fail.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If it can transform, why won't it do Berlin?
Yeah. Why does a transformer refuse to transform into a European format?
It's a great question. It's because the city bends its physical infrastructure for you, but you cannot ignore its underlying cultural and economic logic.
Oh, okay. So you can change the restaurant decor, but not the way business is fundamentally done.
Exactly. The pacing of the day, the indirect communication styles, the hierarchy, every destination has its own heartbeat.
That makes total sense. You can't just overwrite the local culture.
And the author brings up this incredible reference to Russian folklore to illustrate this. She mentions Baba Yaga.
The witch from the fairy tales. How does she fit into corporate events logistics?
Well, in the stories, Baba Yaga always asks travelers this one very piercing question. Are you traveling to see the world or to show yourself to it?
Wow, that hits hard.
Right. If you go to Dubai to genuinely see the destination's unique logic, you thrive. But if you just want to show yourself, projecting your rigid Berlin template onto it, the city rejects you.
That is such a profound way to look at travel in general. But all right, let's pull back from the philosophy for a second. Let's look at the unvarnished logistics.
The nuts and bolts.
Exactly. The good, the bad. What is actually driving the decision to go there if you ignore all the flashy marketing?
The real draw, the ultimate takeaway the author points out, isn't actually that it's the most beautiful, it's because it is the most predictable.
Predictable, which sounds kind of boring.
Boring is a planner's best friend. Dubai runs like a massive, well-organized company.
Oh, with clear rules and procedures.
Exactly. The airports are incredibly efficient, it's incredibly safe.
Okay.
The author points out that during the pandemic, when other cities were in chaos, Dubai had no empty shelves.
That kind of stability is priceless for a massive event.
It really is.
But let's be fair, there are real limitations too.
Right.
Like we cannot ignore the summer heat.
No, the thermal realities of August are brutal. But again, it's managed systematically.
How do you manage 115 degrees?
With aggressive infrastructure. The author gives an example of an awards dinner in August. The guests went from an air-conditioned transfer vehicle straight indoors into a massive AC venue.
So they basically never stepped outside.
Right. They experience zero discomfort. Plus, if you book in summer, the prices are incredibly attractive.
Okay, so the heat is manageable. What about time frames? Can I book a huge event a month out?
Absolutely not. Last minute does not work there. The author stresses you need a 6-month booking window.
Really? 6 months minimum?
Yeah, if you try to book 2 weeks out, you're just getting the scraps. The top-tier venues are gone.
Okay, that's a hard limit. And there was one more warning in the source that caught my eye. The fake suppliers.
Yes, the slick website trap. This is huge.
Because you need a destination management company, DMC, to pull off an event there, right?
You have to have one. They navigate the local logic we just talked about.
But the author warns about these DMCs that only exist online.
Right. Because Dubai is glamorous, it attracts opportunists. You get these people with beautiful websites who claim to be local experts, but they actually have zero on-the-ground experience.
They're probably sitting in a coffee shop in Europe.
Exactly. They don't have the real relationships to pull off something like that overnight restaurant swap.
So what does this all mean? It sounds like Dubai is this incredibly high-ceiling tool, but you desperately need a local partner who actually knows the ground truth, not just a flashy URL.
That is the exact takeaway. You need someone who knows the actual terrain.
So to sum this up for you listening, Dubai works precisely when you understand how to use it.
It's all about how you approach it.
Exactly. Whether you're planning a massive industry conference or just your next personal vacation, you have to arrive with open eyes.
Drop the rigid template.
Right. Don't expect it to be a carbon copy of your home country. That is the only way to unlock what the destination actually has to offer.
And, looking at all of this, the way they engineered this massive leap from desert to global metropolis in just 50 years, it leaves you with a really provocative thought about the future.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What kind of thought?
Well, think about our definition of historical authenticity. Right now, people obsess over ancient things.
Sure, like the Roman ruins we mentioned earlier.
Right. But a century from now, will future travelers look back at things like the Burj Khalifa or these massive artificial islands with the exact same reverence?
Wait, really? You think the Burj Khalifa becomes the new Colosseum?
Why wouldn't it? If authenticity is about witnessing incredible human achievement, how will travelers in 100 years view this 50-year engineering miracle?
That is genuinely something to chew on. The history of the future being built right now. Well, that wraps us up for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.